Hello Warriors, this is Mars, and welcome back to another gameplay video. Today we're playing Throne and Liberty, doing some arena, and I kind of just want to do a little bit of commentary over it. So I'm tanking Great Sword and Sword and Board. I'm playing Crusader. So I'm still taking the time to work on the build, improve my skills. I'm relatively, I want to say I'm relatively new to this type of MMO, but it's not that out of the realm of what I've played before. So in terms of tanking is fun as long as you understand the concept is really just making sure you're allowing the DPS to do their job. Your job is to make sure that you're protecting the DPS and they're not getting ran through. I'm not going to say that's always the case because you really have to pin down a lot of enemies really quickly, and if you're not using a lot of crowd controls, if you're not managing your stamina appropriately to make sure that you can block, you're gonna struggle. So I thought I kind of wanted to talk about my own experiences with Throne and Liberty PvP so far as a tank, or as a damage tank, because that's kind of where I want to get to at the end of the building process. The first thing is I kind of realized I can't focus so heavily on attempting to do damage. My main job is to focus on CCs and crowd control and making sure I'm keeping the enemy tucked in together on me, and like I said, away from the DPS. Whereas like it's easier said than done, especially on an open map like this, whereas like there are other maps where you can knock people down through choke points, knock them into the water, such and so forth, and take them out that way. That's a lot easier. But open field tanking is an extremely difficult job, especially when like there are really strong opponents. This match was pretty, I want to say this match was pretty even compared to a lot of the other matches that I played. That's talking more along the lines of recent matches rather than when I first started, because I honestly want to say Throne and Liberty for Arena does not care about new players that want to enter PvP, although that's a bad thing. That's a bad way to phrase it. It's because my very first Arena match, I was put up against players who were already fully experienced, because they were already like levels higher than me, which is difficult to describe it in a way, because it's like they open you up at level 40 for PvP, and then they're already throwing you up against like level 50s with fully kitted out builds. That's the best way to phrase it. So getting back on topic, I would suggest for new players that are learning how to tank on Throne that you focus solely on protecting the DPS in PvP. It's basically the same concept. It seems like it can be easier said than done, which is true, because I mean, like, it's really dependent on how strong your opponent is, how good your DPS is at separating, and how well you can tank at any point in time. The main thing is to maintain your cooldowns appropriately, especially your chain and your pushes and your crowd CCs and anything that does AoE damage. I like to use Cruel Smite specifically for the AoE damage, but there are other tools that are possibly better. But I'm thinking about attempting to try the aggro generation just to get more damage off of the DPS, because the aggro triggering animations force the enemy DPS to unlock from their initial target and to focus on where the initial aggro is coming from. From what I've been told, it only lasts for a few seconds, but it forces them to look at you rather than look at the DPS. That's just something you can look into. So the aggro generating effects are good. Make sure you're focusing on blocking a lot, managing your stamina. Try not to sprint too much, because that's what I'm working on, and look for those point in times where you actually can execute. And most importantly, make sure you're using your sword and board bar often, because as a tank you need to be using sword and shield more than you're using your great sword. I say that because you get the benefits from having block chance built into the weapons. Using that in tandem with your with your sword and shield buffs, they increase the amount of mitigation that you have. So that's pretty much about it. That's a few tips for new tanks from my perspective. If you like the video, like and share, do what you feel is necessary. And I want to say thanks again for watching. Keep on slaying. Peace. I'm actually winning now.